So, how's everybody's tanks doing? That's better. Size reef tanks you got? T? Barrington? $24 and a 13.5. Yeah, well, they're harder to take care of than a big tank. Bigger the tank, the easier they are. Cost more, but they're easier to take care of. $90. Yeah, I had a 90. Probably about 12 years ago, I had a 90. I started with a 40, very quickly went to a 90. The 90 sprung a leak on Easter weekend of that year. I bought a brand new 125. From there, I had a custom-made 270. And then I moved to the house I'm in now. And when I moved in here, I had them custom make the 270 here behind me. And my next tank is going to be either a 350 or a 400. I haven't decided yet, but that's a couple years away. Did you see the video I put out for the Red Sea Reef Mat 1200? That thing is absolutely a beast. I cannot believe what it's pulled out of my tank. My water is crystal clear now. Yeah, it's fantastic. When I first put it on there, it was going through a lot of material every day, but over the past couple of weeks I've had it online, it's been dropping every day. It's using less and less because the tank's getting cleaner and cleaner. I'm gonna have to change out the first roll tomorrow. So the first roll lasted 2 weeks, but based on the average it's at right now, I should get a month out of the next roll if it stays where it is now, but I suspect it'll get even better. I'll be doing an update video on the display tank probably in the next week. Changed a lot of stuff in there, so I'll have quite a bit to talk about. Yeah, the heater is a friend of mine actually came across that, and he did it. Probably within a week's time I did it, and I haven't looked back. That using my gas hot water heater for heating my tank has just been flawless. It's yeah, it's amazing. My tank only fluctuates 0.3 of a degree during the day, up and down. That's it. It's very, very solid, very stable. You know, I do have heaters in there as an emergency backup. If something was to happen, you know, my hot water tank fail, or the pump fails, stop pulling hot water in, then once the tank drops a couple of degrees, those heaters will kick on. But other than that, the heaters never come on. But it's been solid now I've had it up now for about a year. It's been pretty solid. I know I'm going to be doing one on update of the reef mat. Just let everybody know how that one's going. I'm going to do update video on the tank. I'm probably going to keep doing update videos every, maybe every 2 weeks to a month. I have some new lighting I'm going to be getting for one of my frag tanks. I'm going to get a couple more radions that are going to go over that, so I'll do one on that. But the tank is starting to really recover now, so finally starting to get some growth again. Yeah, I could do what I'll probably do with instead of doing an update video on the frags I cut, is maybe I'll do another live stream of fragging some corals, and in that live stream I'll show the ones that I cut on the previous live stream, how they're healing and how they're doing. That scolie that I cut that fell into a trachea in my tank and got burned up pretty bad and was dying. I cut that up. I believe I cut it into, I got 4 frags out of it. I got the small button that was on the back side, plus 3 additional frags. One of those died, and 2 of them survived, and that little button piece that was on the back, it survived as well. So I probably have, I think I have five frags, scolies in the main display behind me, and then I have another couple in one of the frag tanks in the back. Eventually one day I'm going to cut one of my Acanthophilias and see if I can cut those. I'll hopefully be cutting a lot more frags soon. It's with all the problems I have with the tank the last few months, it's really dropped down the amount of fragging that I do. The scolies, I cut them in. First of all, you want the smaller the better. The one I cut was probably, the size of a cookie. It's a little bigger than you probably want to cut, but I had no issues cutting it. And how I do it, you cut it in half first. You got to make sure you go right through the mouth, and then just leave it like that and let it heal. So you're gonna wait a month or so, make sure it's healed and starting to grow new flesh. Then take your 2 halves and cut them in half again, right through the mouth. You got to make sure you go through the mouth each time you cut it, or else you'll lose the piece. So you got your main scolie that you start with, you cut it in half. Now you have 2. Once they heal in a month or so, you cut those both in half. Now you'll have 4. And I've seen people go as far as those 4 pieces you half again and you'll have 8. I've never gone to 8. I always stop at 4, but you can. But that's how I cut them. I just think if you put an open wound on both sides, it's going to be too much stress. And then I also use a special dip for them after I frag them or cut them. If you watch my live streams when I'm fragging, it's the same thing. I use about a quart of tank water, and then I put some iodine in it, and I'll leave them in there for 5 or 10 minutes, and then from there I'll go into another quart of tank water, and in there I put, I don't measure it, but it's about 10 to 20 mils of witch hazel, and it just helps them with recovery from being cut and any kind of bacterial infections and that. And I've been really successful in cutting them. So I believe the only reason I lost that one was because of the damage that was done by the trachea. It had nothing to do with me cutting it, because any healthy ones I've cut, I haven't lost a piece. AMB Reef, it's mine's a 270. That tank behind me there. I cut the Scullies the exact same way I cut plates. When I cut, you may have seen, I've put up those ultra plates I have for sale. I cut them the same way. You have to make sure you get a piece of the mouth when you cut them, and yeah, they heal up just fine. And B, what size tank do you have? Nice. What is it predominantly? SPS, LPS, mixed? Mixed, yeah. Yeah, I consider mine mixed as well. It's predominantly SPS up the top, but you still like to see things that flow and move around a little bit in there too. So it's tough to just have a tank with just sticks in it, nothing else. My next tank that I'm going to put up is going to be 6 feet like the one that's behind me, but it'll be 3 feet front to back, and it'll be a little lower. Yeah, so did I. I'm still recovering from mine. What happened? Do you know what happened? I know mine, I've done videos on mine, you've probably seen them already, but mine was the salinity and alkalinity swing. And of course I swapped out my lighting on the tank at the same time, which probably didn't help issues much either. I went from T5 to the Radeon G6s, but everything's bouncing back now. Starting to see growth. I'm starting to see, you know, nice color coming back. So finally, it's been a long haul though, a few months, 3-4 months now. Do you know what happened to your SPS, MB? So did you actually lose them, or did they just brown out from the high phosphates? The dimensions of my tank is 72 long, 32 front to back, and 25 high. Right now, doing good. Yeah, I think my tank, I think my SPS would have been fine if I just had the salinity swing, because I did correct it, but I think it was the combination of the salinity swing and the alkalinity swing. Just the two combined was too much. The elk swing was, I normally run 7.8 to 8, and it was all the way up. I don't remember exactly what it was, like 11.6 or 11.7 it went up to. And then my salinity went from 0.025 down to like 0.018. So it was, I lost quite a few pieces. And the ones I didn't lose, I had to chop a lot of them back because of the burned tips, and I started to get some recession on them. So, but you know, it pushed me to do something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and that was I cut everything off of the rock, and they're all mounted now, you know, kind of raised. I'll go over that in a updated video, but I had a lot of my acros, the bases were growing together and they were fighting each other, so I won't have to worry about that anymore. Plus, with cutting all the time and pruning, the way I've put them in there now, I can actually just take them out, make my cuts, put them back in right where they were without bothering anything around them. So it'll be good. Like I said, I'll cover all that in an upcoming video. When I do an update on the tank, probably within the next week. But the only thing left struggling in the tank now is having a few of my Ghanies are struggling a bit. I think it's because some of the things I did, it's cleaned up the tank a little more than I normally have it. So you know, Ghani's like a little bit of a dirtier tank. I normally keep my nitrates around 10, my phosphates between 0.03 and 0.08, or even as high as 1. And you know, right now my nitrates are around 5 and my phosphates are about 0.03. So I think that's why the Ghani's are struggling a bit. Pricing on corals here is, it depends where you are, and it depends if it's the flavor of the month. It's, pricing can be absolutely crazy. You know, I see pieces here that are selling for huge amounts, and then, you know, you look in the States and they're not. It's just all depends on what the flavor of the month is. It's I get it, the high pricing on acros, simply because of the length of time they take to grow, and the amount of work and effort involved with growing acros. But some of the other things that are selling at crazy high prices, I don't understand it. Like zoanthids, I don't know. I don't understand it, but maybe the zoanthids are that they're selling super high or are tough to grow. I'm not a zoanthid guy. I don't care too much for them. They're beautiful, but I got pretty sick from them 5 or 6 years ago, and now I just I had them kind of take over a tank on me before, so I just avoid them now. I used to have some nice colonies on my sand bed, but I'd rather put some trachees or acanthos or something on the sand bed than zoanthids, so I just stay away from them. Yeah, MB, didn't you tell me you're like in Rochester or something? Was it you that told me that? Funny how that goes, you know. Everybody that's in the States, they all say, oh, you know, I wish I was in Canada, you know, I could buy corals from you guys. And then all of us in Canada are always saying, we wish we were in the States so we could buy coral over there. It's funny. Yeah, I thought it was you that was in Rochester. Yeah, you're not far. What's that? An hour maybe, if that? Hey Shane, what's going on? Yeah, 45 minutes, yeah. Yeah, acros here are pretty crazy too. We got, you know, you want your higher end acros over here. You're not going to touch them for under a couple of $100. And I've, you know, some of them go as high as, you know, $400 and $500 for a 1-inch piece. So, I have my tank's, it's loaded full of reef raft pieces. So a lot of the stuff in there is pretty expensive. But, you know, it's the name craze, right? Because if you can get some beautiful corals that are unnamed or they're wild, I don't really go after wild colonies too often, but you can get some pretty wicked looking acros that are, you know, they're not named yet, and they're just as nice as some of these high-end pieces you're paying hundreds of dollars for, and you can get them for next to nothing. The hobby is getting more and more expensive all the time. That's why you're getting these, you know, people like myself where, you know, my corals are growing well, and, you know, I sell them, and it works out good for people getting them because they're, you know, obviously nothing against the stores. The stores have overhead and everything else that I don't have. I'm just a hobbyist, and you know, I'm lucky enough my acros grow well and my corals grow well, and I sell some pieces to help other people get pieces a little cheaper, and it helps me pay for all the equipment and all the stuff I need to keep my system going. So yeah, we have a couple floating around here that push the, you know, the $2,000 mark. You can get the vast majority of high-end pieces though around here for between that $100 and $200 mark. for a decent size, 1 inch, inch and a half frag. It depends what you want to put into it. You got to be you got to be a diehard to spend that kind of money on a piece of coral for your tank. You bring that home and that piece dies the next day or 2 days later, which I've seen and I've done myself. I've bought some expensive pieces and I've brought them home, and within a day or two they're dead. It happens to everybody. Reef the Sea. My tank, my entire system is 450 gallons. I have this is a 270 right here behind me, and then in the room behind it I have a 50-gallon frag tank, an 80-gallon frag tank, and a 125-gallon sump. So it's about 450 gallons total. What are the zoanthids like over there where you are, like for pricing? Are they crazy? The big thing now around me is seems to be the big meat corals. MB, I can't move the camera from where it is. I do live tank, kind of a live tank cam sometimes in the mornings, but I am going to be doing an update video on that tank probably within the next week, and I'll have the camera right up at the tank, and you'll get a good close view of everything in there. Yeah, I built the stand myself. Yeah, around here right now, acanthos are really big, scolies are really big, trachees. Meat corals seem to be really, really big right now. I have some in the tank. I have a few, but it's tough to keep them and then keep the kind of flow you want to have with, predominantly acro tank up top, like with SPS. So it makes it hard without hitting them with too much flow that irritates them. Yeah, some of the acanthos are just absolutely beautiful. I have 2 acanthos in my tank. One is in really bad shape from the swings I had there a few months ago, but it's still alive, so I'm hoping it'll come back. I have another one that's beautiful, green and orange. I have a Cinerina, and I got a nice big trachea in there as well. The power heads that I got on this tank in the back here, just so you guys have an idea, those are Gyre FX350s that you can see on the 2 ends, and they are on I forget what it's called. It's the preset. It goes by the moon phases and the tides, and they're at 100%. So they're rocking anywhere. They go from 100 to 60%. So they're really pushing a lot of flow. And then I have 2 additional power heads that they're in the lower back corner behind me. One up top, one below, and they're kind of blowing down in behind the rock work. And they're both on 100% as well. So I got pretty good flow in there. Yeah, zoanthids are beautiful, MB. Like, don't get me wrong. I'd rather use the room for something else other than zoanthids. But yeah, I've seen some pretty wicked zoanthid dominant tanks, and they were absolutely gorgeous. That'll be something to see. The only zoanthid I still have, and it's in my frag tank, is Rastas. They're the only ones that I have in my system. I do live stream when I cut some frags. I've done that, and I'll do more of them. This particular tank behind me is 3.5 years old. 3.5 years old. I put this when I moved into this house. I had that tank custom made and I set it up. So it's about 3.5 years old now. And I would say I'm in my 12 or 13 years in the hobby. I'd like to get some of those new blades. Anybody see those yet? I'd like to try them out. I'm running Orphix on all my tanks for the supplemental lighting, and then I'm running on the display behind me G6's Radions. Those blades look like they look very, very promising. Yeah, the AI blades. You got one yesterday? Coral Grow one. So what is there? There's the Coral Glow and the Coral Grow, right? And then of course you got your Refugium and then your freshwater. What would you say the color is on it? Like, is it the color, the Coral Grow? Is it like a 14K? Hey, Queen City, welcome, buddy. Yeah, I watched a video on those blades, and yeah, they seem to have a lot of punch to them. BRS, yeah. You know what, Shane? Cost to start, it depends on how involved you want to get. You have to think right from the very beginning if you know what style of tank you want to go with. If you want just a softy tank, or you want to stick with softies LPS, you can keep the cost down a lot more than you can if you're going to go with SPS acros. The tank I suggest to most people when they ask me a tank for starting is a 120. The dimensions of that tank is super easy to get lighting for it. It's a decent sized tank, so it's a lot easier to take care of and keep it stable. The smaller your tank, the harder it's going to be to keep stable, and that's where I think a lot of new people run into problems when they start in this hobby. Is they think, I'm going to start with a small tank because it'll be easy, but the smaller the tank, the harder it is to take care of. The swings that you get in smaller tanks happen so quick, it's unbelievable how quickly you can kill coral. A large tank like mine behind me, I got to make a pretty substantial mistake before it'll swing that tank to the point it's going to really do some damage. So, look for a tank in around that 120 mark, and then there's tons of options out there for lighting for tanks of that size. Skimmers, same thing. But you could start up. You can get a pretty decent 120 gallon tank going for $1,000. Obviously, if you want to get elaborate, you can get pretty elaborate. Like the lighting on my tank behind me, each one of the G6s are, I think, $1,300 a piece. So it's just all depends on how far you want to go with it. Yeah, MB, I run Radion G6s on this tank behind me, but I run Orphix front and back, and then I also run a one T5 Blue Plus on either side of them as well. And I've got I'm going to be getting a couple XR15s for one of my frag tanks in the other room as well. Yeah, I thought that the grow was about a 14K. Sometimes it's hard to tell when you're watching videos. What have you done any par testing on your tank with Reef Sea? Have you done any par testing on your tank with your lighting and those blades yet? You haven't, eh? Do you know what your par was at before you put the blades on? Like, have you ever par tested your tank? Yeah, that's the main reason that I keep a couple of T5s over my tank with the LEDs, is it kind of helps with the shadowing. As much as I'd like to just go pure LED, I still can't get away from having some kind of T5 up there. Blades fill them in, eh? You've never tested your par. I've done par testing on the display behind me, and I'm in that sweet spot where I want to be, where right across the top where all the acros and that'll be, I'm anywhere from, at the high point during the day. So for the 5 or 6 hour high point, I'm like 270 to 400, depending on where the acro is or the SPS is. The majority of it's in around the 350 mark though. I just do it because I have the par meter and our eyes suck for judging intensity. I mean, your corals will tell you quick enough, but I was running T5s forever, and I just switched to. Now I ran AIs years ago, and I didn't care too much for them, so I went back to T5s. Back then they spotlighted a lot more than they do now, so I went back to T5s, and I've been running T5s for years now, and I didn't worry about par too much with the T5s. But you know, as we all know, you can fry coral pretty quick with LEDs. So when I went back to the LEDs, when I picked up these G6s a few months ago, I absolutely par tested just to make sure I wasn't frying them. And surprisingly, when I put the first program on the G6s that I was checking out was the AB Plus, and the up where my SPS were, I was hitting over 900 par, which it just absolutely blew my mind. So my G6s are running at I believe they're running at 35 or 40%. You use your hand. Now, if you don't get a sunburn, you're good. Yeah, it you know what? That was another main reason I got away from LEDs was T5s. You put the bulbs in the fixture and you're done, and your corals will grow. When I had the LEDs, I was constantly playing with all the different spectrums, and I was always trying to fine tune it and get it exactly how I wanted it. And you know, the corals just were constantly trying to adjust. So that was another reason why I got rid of them. I was actually really surprised at how powerful the G6s were. I thought with how much spread everybody was talking about that they give you, I thought that you know, you would sacrifice a lot of par for that, but I was surprised at how strong they still were. Yeah, I will never ever put T5s down. It was hard for me to make the switch. I actually started thinking about making the switch when I think Radion was. I don't even think G5s were out yet, and I was starting to think about it. And it took me a long time to decide to make that switch because my tank was doing so well, my corals were growing so well. But you know, there's the cost factor too. My display behind me, I had an 8 bulb unit plus the retrofitted 1 bulb on either side of that, so I was running 10 80 watt bulbs over the display. I was running 8 54 watt bulbs over the one of the frag tanks in the back, and then the other frag tank was LED. So I mean, I was spending probably $600 or $700 every 8 months to a year on bulb replacement. Shane, I was getting the program when I put it in. I believe it was at 100% when I hit the 900 par. Now, when I'm running at 35 or 40%, I'm like 350-ish par. So when you first put the programs in, they're set at like 100%. So yeah, it was 900 par. That would have just fried my corals. So my G6s are mounted, I'd say approximately 14 inches above the water, and I'm running them at like I said, about 40%, and yeah, I'm getting about 300 on average. I'd say about 350 par at its highest point during the day. Yeah, it was a lot of bulbs. It was every year it was painful to replace them. Like over here, to replace the 80-watt bulbs with taxes, they're about $45 a piece. So you're talking just for the display was $450. And then the 54-watt bulbs, I think, were about $30 or $35 each, times 8. So you're talking there's another $300 there. So yeah, it was expensive replacing those bulbs every year. Plus the heat, in the summertime, it's the tank temperatures will fluctuate with the heat from them, and of course, obviously, the electrical cost to run them. So yeah, it's expensive to buy the G6s, the upfront cost, but end of the day, not replacing all those T5 bulbs and the electrical costs and everything else, it comes out in the wash eventually. I'm going to be getting 2 XR15s soon, and I'll be putting them over top of one of the frag tanks, so I'll do a video on that when I get those. Yeah, it is worth it. They've come a long way since I had Hydra 26s. The last time I had LEDs, I had Hydra 26s. In my last house, exactly the same tank as the one you see here behind me, and I had 6 of them over top of it, and then I believe I had 1 or 2 T5s front and back, and they back then was when they were really bad for spotlighting. The PAR was really, really high directly underneath them, and they didn't have very good spread. So my frag tank, I already have 2 frag tanks. Brief. They're in this, where this tank is behind me. There's over here, right kind of around this corner here, there's a door there. There's a room in behind this tank, and it's my sump room. If you've seen some of my videos, you'll see I do some videos where I say I'm in the sump room. They're in there. I have a 80-gallon in there frag tank, and I also have a 50-gallon frag tank in there. But I am looking at upgrading the 50 to another 80, or I may put in a coral bed out in this same room that I'm in here. I have room in this room if I wanted to down the far end there. We'll have to see how things go, I guess. Depends what I plan on doing with this. Well, I'd like to do the coral bed. I'd probably light half of it with radions, and then the far end, what I'd do is I'd light one end intensely for acros and your higher demand corals, higher light demand corals, and then at the far end I would keep all the lower demand corals, but I still get a little bit of the stink eye from my wife when I mentioned getting a coral bed, so I don't want to push my luck too much. She likes what we have now, and so happy wife, happy life. Tangs, you know what? I've never really counted them. So in the 270 behind me, I have a Shoal Tang, I have a Royal, a Regal. I have 3 yellows, a purple, a yellow eye coal, and a big sailfin. I think that's all that I have in the one back there. And then in the, I have a Tomini in there as well. And then in the frag tank in the back, the 80 gallon, I have a yellow, a brown, and a Tomini in there as well. And I have a Royal Beauty Angel in that frag tank as well. And then the 50 gallon frag tank, there's no fish in that one. Yeah, I'll absolutely do, if I do an upgrade on one of the tanks, I'll 100% do a build guide for sure. Eventually down the road, I know it's not tomorrow, but I'll be replacing this tank over here with, I'm going to go to a 350 or a 400, and that'll be like a whole series of videos, you know, step by step of everything that I do to build that system. I'm not going to wait till a tank blows up to replace it. I'll replace it before that happens. I've always wanted an Achilles tang, and as funny as it may sound, I have no problem spending $400 on a 1-inch frag for my tank, but for some reason I won't spend it on a tang, and that tang is it's a tang I've always wanted. I've never pulled the trigger on getting one. Someday. Shane, are you thinking about setting up a saltwater tank? Yes, I got all my yellows in that before the price hikes. I know it's crazy what they're charging for yellows in that now. I think when I bought them they were like $100 each or something. I used to have all 4 yellows in that tank behind me, but for some reason they were picking on that one. They just kept picking on it, and so I got them out before, you know, they killed him, and he's super happy back in the frag tank, so I just leave him there. The brown, and the Tomini, they all get along great, so I just leave them in there. My favorite fish in my display tank. Probably say my yellow eye coal tang. He's super active, and he's big and beautiful. It's a beautiful fish. Yeah, yellow tanks. I haven't even looked in probably like, I don't know, over a year at the price of tangs. Or I haven't put any new fish in this tank in probably 2.5 years. So, like, what are they? Well, you guys are in the States, so it's different, right? But last time I saw here, they were like $350 for a yellow. And so I'm not sure what they are right now. Yeah, Shane, if you're going with like if you just want to get something like a shrimp tank and you just put a couple little softies in there or some zoanthids or something, there's a lot of all-in-one systems out there that you can get. They come with a light, they come with everything you need to just kind of set it up and go. The only thing is like I said, it's tougher to keep a small tank stable. But if you're going to stick with easy to keep coral and stuff like that, they're way more forgiving. That might be an option for you to go to. $400 US. They sell them that small, size of a quarter, eh? Wow. Around here, like, they're usually, like this. They're decent size. Yeah, with the all-in-one, if you go with the all-in-one, yeah, you're 100% right. Reef the sea and, throw a couple of little clownfish in there or something and you're off to the races. But if you want to get into some of the bigger LPS corals and SPS and that, then yeah, I wouldn't, unless you really know what you're doing, I would avoid a small tank because it's going to be tough to keep the tank stable. Also, they're captive bred, eh? That's probably why they're so small. That's a big thing now with them. It's the captive breeding of the yellows. I thought I read something about them reopening Hawaii, though, like for fish trade net. I could be wrong, but I thought I read somewhere that was a possibility. I haven't put a fish in my tank in probably 2.5 years from a store. I don't have a quarantine system. I'm so afraid of introducing something to my fish. I haven't lost a fish in 3 years. So it did reopen. I thought I read that. I haven't reintroduced the fish into my system in a few years, and I'm so worried about introducing something in there. I haven't lost a fish in all that time. They're super fat, super healthy. I do have a friend of mine that he's got a bunch of fish and they've been in his tank like mine for many years. He hasn't added any new fish in a couple of years and he's thinking about shutting down. If he does, I probably will take some of his fish off his hands just because, I know that they're not coming with any kind of disease or issues. He's, like I said, he's like me. He's been several years since he's lost one. He hasn't added any new fish in his tank in a couple of years, so I'll probably take his if I get the opportunity to. Yeah, I hate adding new fish. Usually when I started this tank up, I pretty well bought all the fish I have almost in one shot. I figure if I'm going to deal with any kind of outbreaks or anything, I'd rather kind of deal with it and work through it and move on. You know, you could add a few fish, they all get sick, they all get better. Then you add a couple fish, they all get sick again, and then they get better. So I'd rather just do it all at once. Yeah, that's the only way I would buy fish now, is a tank breakdown, and if the tank is hasn't had any issues or any new fish added in a long time, because then you know that they're not going to bring anything with them. All right, guys. Well, we're pushing hour and a half almost now, so I'll give it another 5 minutes to hour and a half, and then I think we'll get going for the night. But I will be, like I said, I'll be doing an update video on the display behind me. I've done a lot of changes in there in the past few weeks, and I'll be doing an updated video on the Reef Mat 1200 that I installed a couple weeks ago, and I'll probably do another live stream fragging some corals within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be doing some more stuff. If you guys got any suggestions for any videos you'd like to see, let me know, and I'll gladly do them. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, MB. I appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you on the next one. If you guys, like I said, if you guys got any ideas what you'd like to talk about in a live stream, or if you just like doing this, just talking about pretty well anything, then let me know. And if you guys got any ideas for a video you'd like to see me do, let me know. And like I said, I'll gladly do them. Alrighty, so I think I'm going to wrap it up. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me and talking about everything salty, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care.